Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to episode 12 of The Chainsaw Man! We have returned. In episode 11, Division 4 of Public Safety started off the attack on the Gun Devil henchman, I guess. The Snake Devil contractor, as well as the Blade Fiend, I guess. We started off the attack on them. Is it possible that every devil can be rational? Some of the devils are evil, yes, but some humans are also evil, right? Are devils just inherently evil? I don't know. Point is, though, that was kind of a question that was kind of brought up, or shown at least. But yeah, we started off the battle. Aki should have died to some gunmen, but apparently the gunmen just decided not to shoot him for some reason. Aki goes one-on-one against the snake woman and gets promptly fucked. And that's basically where we left off. So I'm just gonna get right into it, and then we'll talk about Chainsaw Man. This video is probably gonna be a longer one because I'm gonna put like the discussion of the entire show at the end of this. So yeah. As I said, getting choked out. Okay, I already have a problem with this. First off, we've seen this scene. Not from this point of view, but still, we've seen this scene. Secondly, it's the last episode. What are you doing? We don't have time for a flashback of a scene that we've already seen. Come on. I get it, you want to show a flashback, but come on. You can just show him thinking about her face. Just a quick flashback of showing her face. Just like that. And bam, you have the same effect. You don't have to show the entire scene again. We've already seen this scene. Let me guess, we're gonna waste like 5 minutes on this, right? I'm not gonna lie, I don't think that flashback was appropriate for this specific situation. I would have thought, I don't know, they would have done some other scene with them and shown that one, but that's kind of what I was saying like a couple episodes earlier, where like when Himeno died, right? I was saying their relationship was just kind of hanging out. They were just friends, they just kind of hung out. They didn't really have a bond or like any really serious moments or bonding moments or anything. Not that we saw anyway. That kind of just confirmed it, where they didn't really have any good bonding moment scene to show as a flashback, so they just kind of like, let's just take this one, like this one time when she offered to give him a smoke or something and made her promise to like give him a cigarette when he's of age. What scene is that? Like what does that have to do with this? I don't know. Who knows? Let's just keep going. I just feel like that flashback was not important to this moment at all. I mean, it doesn't have to be. Sometimes it's just, you know, in a moment of distress, you remember the good times, right? But, I mean, still. So why is he still alive? Oh, I mean, I guess, yeah. I guess the ghost is still Himeno's, like, contractor, I guess? I'm guessing there's the cigarette is in the hand, right? Or something? Now, the question is, which one is it? Is it Himeno still controlling the Ghost Devil somehow? Or is the Ghost Devil itself kind of honoring Himeno's promise? Or something? Easy revenge? Yo, Aki, I think it's time for a smoke. Hang on. Don't worry. We'll get back to the scene. Don't worry. What did he say? The ghost devil doesn't have eyes, so it uses fear to see. Last time I checked, there's more than one sense. You don't need to see to feel someone climbing up your back. Hello? Hello? Logic? Does you exist? Dost thou exist? Whatever, dude. Whatever. There's so many small problems, small details. I think this music is probably my favorite piece of music from the show. So, just call the snake. Or maybe the snake is too big for the room. So you're just gonna stand there? Look, if I was him, rush her. Literally, rush her. You know she has the snake still. Rush her right now. Head off instantly. Come on. There's no way you're just looking at her. Huh? Oh. And then there's these two. Ew. Dude, for once I agree with him.
全然違うね。俺たちの仕事はサムライソードを捕まえることだ。捕まえても食うんじゃねえぞ。こいつら気づいてね。大きな声出すなよ。わしの名はパワー。はっ。こいつらなら勝てる。勝負じゃ。ベンジ、わしについてこい。後ろは任せるぞ。
And he's gone.
わしは逃げてない。気高い。美しい。
I see. So I guess she maybe feels a little bit bad about, you know, being too weak and running away, I guess. I mean, I was gonna say that, you know, we haven't really seen Power do anything, ever. The last time we saw Power fight a devil was literally, I think, the second episode. And she destroyed the devil in like one hit with a big hammer. That was it. From then on, we never saw her fight. She created some spears to attack the devil hunter guy. That was it. Unless I'm forgetting some big battle that she was a part of, she has never fought. I feel like Power would be really strong, but I guess she has fought so little that I don't even know what her power base is. I know she controls her own blood, but like, can she potentially control other people's blood? I'm pretty sure she can. When Aki got stabbed, right? She was like, oh, other people's blood is not that easy to control. That just alludes that she can control other people's blood. It's just not as easy. So I would have imagined, again, if they were training, right? Denji is learning how to use his chainsaws. Power could be learning how to control other people's blood. You know, that would have been a great power-up. And then you look at this. Oh, look at how much blood there is. Even though they're zombies, they shouldn't have any blood. But still, you know, like, I mean, imagine if she could just Even if you could control like 10% of someone else's blood, there's so much blood that you can still use it. That would be really cool to do, but I guess maybe she would be a little too powerful in that case. I don't know.
出たなもみあげマン。
待て待て待て。少し話さないか。
あ？
お前の態度次第じゃ、俺たちは投降するつもりだ。
Right.
ただ怒りを収めたいだけなんだ。
Follow your orders, Denji.
お前はこいつらの仲間と俺のじいちゃんを殺した。その償いをしてほしい。
てめえのお仲間もじいちゃんもゾンビなってたから殺したんだぜ。
嘘つくんじゃねえ。学歴のねえバカすぐ嘘つきやがる。まあいい。それが仮に本当だったとしてだ。ゾンビも元は人間。そいつらを殺してお前は心が痛まないのか。
全然。
俺も沢渡りにいろいろされてな。心臓が刀の悪魔になっちまってるみてえだが。
Ah, Katana Devil, eh?
うっかりゾンビを殺しちまった夜には眠れなくなるぜ。お前に限っては心がもう人じゃねえんだよ。少しでも人の良心が残ってるなら俺たちにおとなしく殺されねえか。
That is probably the dumbest bargaining attempt I've ever seen. That is probably, that's so fucking dumb. If you have any conscience left, just let us kill you. 'Cause sure, bro. Sure, bro. Let me just do that real quick. It's almost as stupid as some random guy going up to someone and saying, hey, if you don't go out with me, I'll kill myself. It's like, are you fucking sure, bro? Just go ahead, dude. Really, just go ahead. Does he actually think that's gonna work? I think he was better off just ambushing him when he came out of the fucking elevator. Come on. Going onto the ceiling or something and then just dropping down on him and trying to sneak attack him. I think that was the better idea. Just pull the goddamn fucking chainsaw out. Yeah. Come on. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. But again, notice how he immediately went into chainsaw form. He hasn't trained in the chainsaw form. He didn't train in the chainsaw form at all. We have no reason to expect things to go any differently than last time. What are you fighting for? For a good hot meal and some bitches.
そこそこ気に入ってるぜ。だからさっさとてめえ倒してマキマさんに褒めてもらうんだ。俺はまだ死んでねえぞ。そこだ。
I will say, as much as, the animation is cool and all, I've noticed, and this is something that I noticed earlier, honestly, in previous fights as well, but there's no real choreography going on. They're just kind of slashing their chainsaws and blades together. There's no actual, choreography at all. I mean, you look at this. I mean, what is this fight? They're just kind of slamming into each other. That's basically it. I feel like you could do so much more, but I mean, again, I don't know why, but like this music just makes me numb. There's no like, there's no melody, there's no nothing. It's just it's so bad on the ears. I don't know. I'm just not a fan. Why didn't he just do that from the beginning? I thought you needed his heart. But I mean, as I said, it ended pretty much exactly the same way as last time. What? Okay, on one hand, it's a cool scene, don't get me wrong, that's cool. I think that's cool, I like that, but we didn't actually how... Chainsaw from the leg, okay, that's cool, but like, what actually happened here? He ran at him, let me see here. Did I just miss it? What? To slice this guy in half, he would need to like, raise his leg high enough above his head and then slice down. If they were running at each other straight on, the leg would go in front of his front chainsaw. Like I just there's problems, small details that I don't miss. Like I miss some details, but like still, when something happens and I'm like, how did that happen? And another question, how did Denji know he can do that? It's not like he trained in the chainsaw form. I swear to God, if in the manga they actually showed him training in the chainsaw form, then why didn't they show that in the anime? Which means I just assume that he never practiced his chainsaw form, and now he can just do this. I mean, maybe he could always do that, maybe he just knew he could do that, but never needed to use it. But I don't know. Point is, it could have been fun. It could have been cool to know that, oh, maybe that's what he learned while training, that he can bring out chainsaws from different parts of the body as well, not just the hands. But again, we didn't see that. So now he just pulled out a new ability from out of nowhere. I guess this guy is also immortal?
目が覚めたか。やっぱあんた、俺と同じなんだな。てめえの手の刀抜いたらさ、真っ二つの体もくっついたぜ。ぶっ殺してやる！ぶっ殺してやる！声はでけえな。警察がてめえを迎え来るまで、ここでじーっと待ってなきゃなんだけどよ。
Dude, I'm surprised. I'm surprised he even knows how to call the police, considering he's been so poor his entire life that he can't even go to a fucking restaurant to eat once, right? There's no way he has a phone or knows how to use a phone, so I'm surprised he even knows how to call police.
俺はいろいろ納得できないんだよね。てめえは姫の先輩を殺した。面のいい美人がてめえのせいで世界から一人減ったんだ。
お前には何もできねえだろう。公安の犬風罪がよ。
今から大会を開く。
大会？
あ、いいとこに来たな。早川の先輩も参加するか？最強の大会によ。
お前は何を言ってんだ？
こいつは姫の先輩を弾で撃った。だからこいつも弾を撃たれるべきだろ。だから大会を開く。お互いにこいつの金玉を蹴っていって、警察が来るまでに一番でけえ悲鳴を出させたやつの勝ち。
正気かお前。
俺たちの仕事はこいつを捕まえることだ。いたぶって嘘を晴らすことじゃない。そんなことしたって姫の先輩は喜ばない。
Honestly, I actually think Himeno would be like, dude, that sounds like fun.
あ、そう。
Do it anyway. Who cares what he thinks? That's what you see? Easy revenge. Come on. Go for it. Might as well. Dude's immortal. Who cares? I'm sure he can grow back his nuts.
ああ、勝ったら何くれんだ？
At least they don't show it. Thank God. Oh my God.
姫の先輩、天国まで聞こえるか？俺たちからあんたへのレクイエムが。
今回のテロ事件は沢渡茜という元民間のデビルハンターが発端でした。
Oh.
銃の悪魔と契約し、銃をヤクザに流しました。その対価として沢渡はチェンソーの悪魔の心臓を要求していたそうです。
それでなぜ沢渡はチェンソー。
Thank you. That's what I've been asking.
それが聞き出す前に銃の悪魔との契約で自動的に自殺したのかもしれません。今回の事件でビル内から銃の悪魔の肉片を 1.4 キロ押収。我々公安が持っている5キロの肉片と合わせた結果、ついに肉片が本体に向かって動きました。
ついにか。どこに向かって動いた？
An after credit scene. Don't tell me this whole scene is just him just smoking a cigarette. See, I feel like here you could use some good music.
いつも見る夢だ。いつも見て、いつも忘れる夢。
デンジ。
落ちた、落ちた。出てこいよ。夢の中くらい撫でさせてくれ。
デンジ、絶対に開けちゃダメだ。
That told me absolutely nothing.
デンジ君はさ、田舎のネズミと都会のネズミ、どっちがいい？
What? That's the end? Well, I mean, at least it's consistent. Consistent in the sense that this whole show felt like an advertisement for the source material, for normies. The show often opted to show animation, like cool animation, rather than actually putting important details that you got from the manga into the actual anime. So they would like cut important details or important dialogue or important things in favor of pointless extra animation. That's what it felt like to me, almost always. The final battle between these two, kinda underwhelming. I expected something a lot more. As I said during the fight here, the choreography just wasn't there. It was just a bunch of like, haha, let's hit the chainsaw and blade together a bunch of times. Slash, slash, cling, 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 cling. And then they had one final, like, running at each other moment here. They didn't even show how he used the leg chainsaw to cut him in half. You know, they just kind of animated them just flying past each other, and then all of a sudden, he's dead. It's like in live action movies these days where they cut every like 1.5 seconds in an action scene. Like you don't actually show what's going on, so you can't really see what's going on. That's what it felt like here. Just a bunch of like quick cuts, them just smashing their chainsaws and blades together. I mean, kind of weak sauce, I feel like. The music choice as well, in my opinion, just I'm not a fan of the whole... I mean, what is this music? Straight up, what actual is this music? It doesn't really add anything to the scene, I feel like. Here, honestly, again, we didn't see Power do shit. Wow, Power killed some mindless zombies. Created like 2 blades, 2 daggers, I guess, and then just sliced some zombies. Like, wow, big whoop. We haven't seen Power do shit. We've seen Power do jack shit, dude. Here again, we didn't really see this snake woman use the snake at all, because got taken by surprise, right? That was it. And then we didn't see Power really do anything. That's disappointing. I kind of wanted to see Power do something more. And then they fought. As I said, it was a little bit disappointing. I feel like, I don't know, I expected something more from the climax fight, but whatever. I mean, essentially the big twist was, oh, I now have a chainsaw for my leg. And they didn't even show how he used it. That's kind of disappointing, I'm not gonna lie. And then this whole, like, kicking him in the nuts thing, I mean, I have to say this episode was disappointing. Then they, set up the whole, like, next arc, I guess, with, oh, now they have enough gun devil parts to have it start attracting to the main body, right? And that's cool and all, but, like, I am almost 100% sure, I'm like 90% sure that this is not gonna get a second season. I feel like they've basically ruined any hope for a second season. I think, as I said earlier, it feels like just an advertisement for the source material. As I said, they took out important bits, important details, apparently, and opted for cool animation. That's kind of what it felt like, where they think that to appeal to the modern audience, they have to just do a lot of cool animation. That's it, right? Monkey brain. And honestly, they're not wrong, considering how popular the Chainsaw Man anime was. Or is still. But for me, I prefer characters, story, dialogue, much more than just a bunch of action scenes that don't make sense. I enjoy some action, don't get me wrong, but there needs to be a reason for the action. The action needs to have logic to it. Like, you can have powers and supernatural stuff going on, but you still have to have logic. But yeah, it just felt like a big, like, advertisement for the source material. I mean, if you've seen all my reactions, you'd probably know how I always point out these small mistakes, these small things that they could have changed to make things so much more, I guess, logical, or like just flow much better, but they didn't, right? There's almost every episode had some sort of, like, a couple of small problems that they could have just fixed. That to me felt like they had no one who actually looked through the whole, like, storyboard, I guess, for the anime adaptation and was like, hey, this doesn't make sense. How about we change this a little? Either that or the source material itself had all these problems where certain scenes just didn't make sense, like those thugs not shooting Aki last episode. You know, I started this show thinking that most likely I was gonna be disappointed with the story, and I was right. This show feels like it was made for normies. People who don't watch much anime anyway, people who watch like only action shows, they don't really care about actual like good writing or like deep storylines or anything like that, or characters or deep characters, anything like that. And it was pretty obvious how sometimes in the anime, like they just don't give a shit and they just kind of opt for good animation. That's all it is. Basically, the whole show ended up being exactly what I thought it was going to be. A bunch of good animation with little to no, like, decent storylines. I feel like they essentially they shot themselves in the foot with trying to actually potentially get a second season here. Because if they actually wanted a second season, if they planned for a second season, which I think, honestly, the show has a lot of potential. Don't get me wrong, it has a lot of potential. There are storylines there, but they already kind of ruined most of them. There were so many holes and like problems with the writing just because they took information out that was in the source material, apparently. Because certain things, from what I gather, are explained in the manga, but they're not in the anime. And, you know, people go around saying, you know, read the manga, right? Well, instead of having so much pointless animation and reusing scenes and reshooting scenes, reanimating scenes from different points of view, you could have adapted those important details and discussions and dialogue that you cut out and actually make the story make sense, or more sense at least. Apparently, as I mentioned, I think last episode or the beginning of this episode, where there are certain things, certain questions that I had were answered in the manga, in the source material, apparently, but why weren't they answered in the anime? Instead, they just wasted time animating a bunch of bullshit scenes because they didn't really care. They didn't really care about the story. And that's why I don't think this show is ever gonna get a second season. They already kind of fucked up with a bunch of small details. I cannot blame these problems on just the adaptation either. I think probably some of the problems that I had with the show come from the source material itself, most likely. But also at the same time, the source material probably answered some of my questions that the anime adaptation did not. But yeah, overall, I think the show was lacking in storyline, characters, and music. The show was pretty much exactly what I expected. A bunch of good animation, but when it comes to music or story or characters, they're just kind of weak. Characters that I thought were big characters, like Power, for instance. I thought Power was gonna be one of the bigger characters because everyone's a fan of this character. Everyone says that Power is one of the best characters, and here I am, like, waiting for her to do something, and she does nothing. You know, I thought, for instance, the whole idea of her being like a sentient devil or like rational devil, I thought that was gonna be like a big thing where I thought she was like unique in the sense that she's almost like human. I thought she could become like this kind of like bridge between devils and humans, but like now we just find out that there are other devils as well that just work for humans or with humans. Now Power's uniqueness is lessened by a lot, and Power herself just seems kind of, I don't know, like I felt like she would be very strong. They introduced her to be very strong seemingly with her first like fight with that one devil that she just one-shot, but then they just didn't have her do anything ever. Maybe she gets better later on in the manga, you know, later on in the story, but like still, that's not in the anime. Thus, as I said, I will only judge the story based off of the anime here. Just because the manga or the source material is better and gets better later on and as the story progresses, I don't care. If the anime doesn't show it, then it doesn't exist to me. I shouldn't have to go to another medium to enjoy this thing that I'm watching now. Now, what would I give it out of 10? I know people are gonna hate me for this, but I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. I wanna say 7, but like, the more and more I think about it, the mountainous amount of small problems and small details that just don't make sense and just are badly done. Like all these scenes where the villains or the bad guys just refuse to kill the good guys, or certain things that just aren't explained or don't make sense. All these moments where the show just expects you to look the other way or not think about it. All these scenes, they're all mistakes. And they could probably all be fixed if you just think about the story or think about the scene just a little bit. You could fix it. But they didn't. It feels like there was no quality control. There was no one who actually looked through the show logically and thought about every scene. Now, I'm not saying that literally everything has to follow logic. If like in every other scene, okay, maybe not every other scene, but like every episode, there's at least a couple of moments where I think to myself, that doesn't make sense. Then you have a problem. Now you might be thinking like I'm being extra critical, but I'm not. There are plenty of shows. There's a plethora of shows. There are so many shows that I've seen that I just watch and I enjoy and I have no problems with. I'm not being extra like critical of the show. I feel like this show just has all these problems and they're so obvious and in your face that I just can't ignore them. So yes, unfortunately, I will give it a 6 out of 10. 10 out of 10 animation, but music, characters, story, they like all get like I want to say characters are like a 4 out of 10. As far as I can tell, thinking back on the whole show, none of the characters got developed or like at all really explored. I want to say Aki was the one who got the most development, I guess. He was the type of stoic kind of character, right? And we got some, you know, we saw him showing emotions and stuff like that, but I feel like the best character was Himeno, and they killed her off, so... And a lot of the other characters, like the shy girl, we never figured out what her deal was. Some of the other characters got killed. I mean, Denji's about as interesting as a paper bag, right? Power, I thought she would be a more interesting character, but she's just kind of a comedic relief, I guess. She's not even funny. She just kind of shouts a bunch of bullshit and that's it. She doesn't fight, not really. The shy girl barely ever shows up. Makima also just kind of seems to be not in the show half the time. The teacher character, again, we saw him like one episode really, maybe 1.5-ish. The characters just feel weak. I feel like if you just replace Denji with a character that has a better, I don't know, personality, I guess, maybe it would be much better, but even then, I just feel like in this show, characters probably the weakest part of the whole... Actually, no. The music was the weakest part. As I said, Himeno was the best character in my opinion because she actually showed multiple like sides to her personality. You know, she could be serious, she could be funny, she could be lighthearted, and we actually saw that. But all the other characters, I mean, Denji's fucking annoying, Aki's kind of stoic, Makima is also kind of stoic-ish, Power is just very one-sided. I feel like Himeno was the only character that actually was normal, that you could actually relate to, kind of. But yeah, music, I want to say like 3 out of 10. There was that one track, that Himeno scene music. Definitely the best one. Because I actually remember it. Right? But other than that, most of the other music was just a bunch of like, I don't even know what you call it. Some kind of electro death metal type of ear rape music. I don't know. To me, that was the weakest part. And then comes the story. I feel like overall the story has some good potential in the long run. But because they fucked up so many times with like small details in the show, it definitely ruined the overall storyline for me. Too many small details that were just badly done. Questions that were never answered, small details that just didn't make sense. Why did the Bat Devil not eat the human to regenerate? Why didn't those gunmen in the last episode, in episode 11, shoot Aki on sight, even though the first guy did? Why did the first guy only shoot once? Small details that don't make sense will ruin the overall show. Now, some of you might be thinking, oh, I'm being, as I said, extra critical, but you have to understand, I've seen so much anime. I've seen, I want to say probably over 1,000 shows, 1,000 anime shows. Let that sink in, 1,000. I spent years in my younger days watching anime. Every day when I got home, I watched anime. Hours on end, I watched anime, okay? I've seen over 1,000 anime. So yes, I have standards, don't get me wrong. And honestly, when I say 6 out of 10, that's above average. I'm not one of those, I'm not IGN, okay? I'm not saying like it's a 6 out of 10, meaning, oh, it's super bad. I'm not saying that, oh, 7 out of 10 is super mega bad. When I say 6 out of 10, I'm saying it's better than average. If I thought it was average or shit, I would have given it a 4 or 5 out of 10. But I'm saying it's 6 out of 10, above average. Almost a 7, like 6.5. If there were less small details that were problematic to me, I would have easily given it like a 7 out of 10, maybe even close to an 8 if they just pulled it together, you know, if they didn't make all these fucking problems, these small details that don't make sense, and maybe changed Denji around slightly, not to be so fucking annoying, could have even gotten a very, very light, soft 8, but it didn't. You know, in the end, the characters kind of sucked. Denji sucked massively. Definitely pulled the whole show down. I don't understand how anyone could think that Denji is a good main character. It fucking sucks in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. All of this is my opinion, bear in mind. But in the end, yeah, like all these problems, all these small problems that I found like almost every episode, they just accumulate and just bog down the entire show. The entire story. The fact that I'm finding all these problems, I think tells you enough. There are many shows where I've never had a problem. I've never had a single problem because they follow logic. They follow their own rules. And then we have to talk about the ending. What the hell was that? I'm not gonna lie. Don't end the show on some cliffhanger if you don't plan to make a second season. And I am pretty sure that they don't plan to make a second season. There was no ending. So honestly, Chainsaw Man fans, you're lucky I don't give it a 2 out of 10 because it fucking sucked. The ending, I mean. What the hell was that? That's like ending the show on just some random episode. That's what it felt like. That didn't feel like an ending. That felt more like a mid-season finale kind of thing. Like for instance, right? My favorite story is, and I'm not saying it's the best story, but my favorite story of all time is Umineko no Naku Koro ni, the visual novel. But I also think that the anime is actually pretty good. In reality, actually the anime got me into the story in the first place. You know, I watched the anime multiple times before I read the visual novel. So I think the anime for that story was actually pretty good. One of the main arguments and criticisms that people have with that show was that, oh, the answer arcs were never explained, you know, it never got a second season, thus it didn't end, thus it sucks. 2 out of 10. That's how it was back in the day, like early 2010s and like late 2000s. So if I were to go based off of that logic, I would say this show is fucking 2 out of 10 because it didn't end. There's no ending. This was not an ending. But because I don't see things that way, 6 out of 10. I mean, ultimately, just like with the Umineko anime, a lot of questions were brought up. Nothing was ever explained. Who is the Gun Devil? We don't know. What is the Gun Devil's powers? We don't know. Why doesn't the Gun Devil ever show up? We don't know. Let's just say there's a plethora. There's a massive amount of questions that I have about the whole story, about things that should be happening, such as like devils trying to find a place in this human world. You know, because they are rational. A lot of them are rational. So why isn't there like an area where devils can live in peace? I don't know. In the end, even though the story has potential, it seems like they went into it wanting to make a spectacle of animation rather than actually tell the good story that it could be. It could have been much better if they went into the adaptation thinking, okay, we're gonna do like 2 seasons, we're gonna adapt the entire story, and we're gonna like try to tell the story the best we can. That way, maybe they could have like salvaged the characters and like, I don't know, given them more time to grow. But here, with 12 episodes, like there's only so much you can do. And with your characters being so kinda annoying, like Denji, there's not much you can do with 12 episodes. Of course, I recognize that I have my personal opinions, my personal preferences, right? And I know that they are more about, you know, characters, dialogue, storyline, plot, you know, that kind of thing. As I've mentioned multiple times throughout this reaction series, that I prefer more of those calmer things rather than just flashy animation and action. Of course, I enjoy some action, but if there's no meaning behind the action, then to me, I just don't care. Even thinking back on some of the fight scenes, it's like I mentioned in this last episode where the animation is good and all, but there's no choreography. So it's not like the fight scenes are actually even that interesting. Now that I'm thinking about it, that was pretty much all the fights. It was just good animation. But like the fights themselves were pretty basic. I guess that's what it kind of felt like to me. That's what the whole show felt like to me. Popcorn fun with no real deeper thought put in. That's basically my final thoughts. Unfortunately, the show wasn't really something that I looked forward to watching. Like, I didn't mind watching it, but I don't think a single episode made me want to watch the next episode. And the reason for that was because I just didn't care. As I said, I didn't really like the characters. The only character that I liked was Himeno, and she also got killed off. And even then, she wasn't even doing anything much. I mean, when she was alive. It comes down to the fact that simply the characters just weren't that interesting, and I wasn't invested in them. Makima seems to be like a fucking enigma. I have no idea what her deal is. We never figured out if she has some sort of agenda, what her deal is. Is she human? Is she a devil? I don't know. Probably a devil, most likely. But again, like, who the fuck is she? What does she want? What does she do? We don't know. You know, Aki just wanting revenge, I guess. Himeno was the normal one who did it for the money, I guess. I don't know. Denji's like, again, a very one track mind of like, hey, I wanna impress Makima because I'm a fucking little shit. It just felt so mediocre. The characters just felt mediocre. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to explain it. They just didn't appeal to me. And I'm the guy who fucking hates the classic anime-styled characters. You know, you would think that these would be more realistic characters, but in reality, Denji is probably one of the most unrealistic characters I have ever seen. This whole idea that Denji is, or has been, always so poor that he couldn't even buy himself a fucking McDonald's, even once? This whole idea is so blatantly impossible. It's like, I mean, it is possible, but it's so hard to believe. When you have more than like 10 of these moments or scenes where it's so fucking hard to believe and take seriously, that's when the whole story starts to like bog down. You get bogged down by these fucking small problems, these small details that you can't get behind. And that's what ends up pulling your entire enjoyment of the show down. And if I can't get invested in the characters, then I don't care what they're doing at any given time. I don't care what they're going through because I don't care about them. In the end, it comes down to, do I care about the characters or not? And unfortunately, Denji sucks. It is what it is. Denji was the main character, and I think if I were to say what I thought was the biggest weakness of the show, by a mile, it would be Denji, the main character. I think Denji's personality and character was probably the worst thing about the show. By far. By a fucking mile. 7 miles, actually. This is like just a very good example showing what can happen if your main character, your protagonist, your main character sucks ass. If they're just not likable. I can't even say that they made him unlikable on purpose. Denji is like, if you took a show's mascot character, or like some sort of comedic relief character, and made them the main character. Not to bring up Attack on Titan again. I've brought up Attack on Titan in this series so much already, but it's just a good example, right? If you took for example, Sasha in Attack on Titan and made her the main character. Imagine if you made Sasha the main character. That would still be better than Denji, honestly. I can't even give you a good example of something that would be similar to what Denji is. Even Sasha being the main character of Attack on Titan would be better than Denji. But that's kind of what I'm saying, is that if you put like the mascot, the character, the comedic relief character to be the main character, no. Just no. The show wouldn't be the same. Not even close. I could never understand whether or not they wanted the audience to take the show seriously or not take it seriously. You know, it was always like a 50-50 between comedy and seriousness. Every time a serious scene would happen, there would always be some sort of stupid wannabe comedy thing that would happen right after. Then I'm reminded of the fucking puke scene, and it's like, am I supposed to take this seriously or not? Unfortunately, in the end, I think I'm left with empty feelings. You know, I don't really have any strong feelings for this show. If you asked me, would I watch a second season? If it came out, I'd probably say no. Don't get me wrong, episode 8 and 9, they definitely were good. And there are glimpses of what this show could be. This show could be. The story could be great. Potential is there. There are glimpses of greatness, but that's all it is. Glimpses. Small glimpses. And for every glimpse of greatness, there's an equally great glimpse of idiocy. Illogical fucking scenes. And I think that's what kind of, in a way, annoys me the most. Whenever I see a story or a show with potential, with a lot of potential, and then it ruins it. It bogs it down with stupid, idiotic characters. Characters that cannot be taken seriously. You had it, but you just keep fucking up. All these small fucking problems. Like, why? You can fix them so easily. If you just think about it just a little, you can fix them. You can just fix them very easily. I thought about it for 2 seconds and I fixed it for you instantly. But no, in the end, the glimpses of greatness that I saw in some of those episodes were just buried under a mountain of problems. And that's kind of all I can say, really. I think I'm just gonna leave it off there. In the end, 6 out of 10. I didn't really like the characters. I just never got interested. I never got immersed. Himeno was the character that I was the closest to actually caring about. But, you know, she was... You know, we all know what happened to her. It's been an interesting journey. I actually considered watching Jujutsu Kaisen as well. If you're interested in me watching something else, leave a comment down below. Like, I don't mind watching really any show, really, for content. The only shows that I would not consider watching and recording my reaction to them is something like Attack on Titan, for instance. Or something that's just very good. Something that I really like, because I enjoy watching those alone and immersing myself fully. I hope you enjoyed. Probably didn't. You know, I'm sure I get a lot of dislikes from my opinions on this show, but that was kind of the idea from the very beginning. I knew what I was getting into. I figured people wouldn't like me bashing on this show, but I've always been the type of person who just says my piece and don't really care what people say, you know? Life is too short to give a shit. Regardless, I still hope you enjoyed watching me rant about these episodes, and if you have any shows you would like me to watch or think maybe I haven't seen before, you can always ask in the comments and let you know if I've seen it or not. Maybe I'll even do a series on it. But until next time, I will see you later.